Today, we're going to cover a topic that is not essential to real estate. However, I feel that with the time of year that we're currently in, when I'm recording this, it's February, things are a little slow right now. Things will start to pick up here in the next 30 days or so. But it'd be real easy for us to kind of get down on ourselves, to feel a little bit isolated because there's not as much business, not as much interaction with folks. It's cold, it's crappy outside. And to really start to get negative. One of the tools that I found that's helped me in the past and helps me currently is the act of journaling. Journaling sounds like something that little girls do in high school or middle school, right? It sounds like a diary. It doesn't have to have that negative connotation to it. Journaling is nothing more than getting the thoughts out of your head and onto paper. Now, journaling can take the form of many different things. You can actually have a paper journal that is dedicated to journaling, in which you have 1 page per day. Or you could use this device here and simply use the notes portion. In actuality, they have apps now that are aimed at journaling and will guide you through how to journal. There's no right and there's no wrong way of doing this. And the freedom that can be felt by getting your thoughts out of this dome of yours and onto paper can really create some freedom for you. I'm going to share my story. So about 4 years ago, I'm going to take a somewhat religious stance. Sorry. I was attending some church coursework, and I ran into a fellow who was very religious about waking up at 5:30 every single morning and starting his day off with journaling. And I thought to myself, well, that doesn't sound appealing, 5:30 in the morning. And for most of us, that probably doesn't sound appealing either. However, his big why behind that was so that he could focus on himself prior to focusing on the rest of the outside world, or even on his family. And so by waking up at 5:30, he typically beat his family up by a couple hours, and he really had some time of dedicated focus to himself. So there was no outside noise. If you think about it, we're not receiving emails, text messages, phone calls from 5:30 to really 9 o'clock, most likely. So the opportunity is there for you to have some real quiet time. And that's appealing to most of us, I think. The other thought there is that he was working on himself before he worked on anyone else. Now, why is that important? And I've told you this in the past. If you yourself aren't filled up emotionally, spiritually, physically, then how can you build into other people? You can't. So the thought, as I heard him talk a little bit more about the why he wakes up so early and what that journal time looks like, started to become pretty appealing to me. So what did his journal time look like? Well, for him, it was time in the Word, time reflecting, and just some good quiet time praying. I have since adopted this into my life, and for the last 3 years, I have been trying. I say try, I hate that word, but the majority of days, Monday through Friday, I will wake up at 5:30. My journal time looks like this. Now, I'm going to spell it out for you. If you agree or disagree, it's okay. Make it your own. I wake up at 5:30 to do the exact same thing that my mentor was doing. I have 3 young kids at home, and they wake up around 6:30 or 7 o'clock. If I wake up with them, I have 0 time to myself. So I wake up at 5:30. I start with just a quiet prayer, asking God into my day, inviting him into my quiet time. And then I jump into some reading, very intentional reading. Majority of the time, it's straight from the Bible, but you can make this your own. You could read a book. You could read a motivational book. You could read magazine articles, whatever that looks like. I prefer to go analog before digital. I prefer to stay away from my phone as long as I can in the morning. So in order to do that, I pick up a paper book. So for me, it's a paper Bible. From there, after I've read my chapter or two, I will literally open up a journal. It's literally a dedicated journal. And I will start with the date and what number of entries it has been for the year. The reason I do that is I like to reflect at the end of the year, December 31st. I like to look back and say, oh my gosh, I had my journal out 100 times this year, just to see how much involvement with myself I'm getting. It's great. From there, I try to write down a line that stood out to me from my reading. And then from there, the most critical part of my whole morning, I feel like I can actually feel myself wake up and blossom into the day. And that is when I take the next 3 lines and I write 1, 2, 3. And I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for. You've heard the term gratitudes. You can even have a whole journal based off gratitude. Don't take what I'm telling you as the gospel. Take it as a stepping stone for you getting out of your own head, spending time on focusing what is important to you. So my 3 gratitudes, I literally have to think about those things. Like, what am I grateful for today? Maybe it was an amazing experience yesterday. Maybe it was something I'm really looking forward to today. Maybe it was just a good sleep. I can be grateful for those things. And you'd be shocked at how many things we have in this world to be grateful for, even if we're having troubles making ends meet, even if our health is poor, or even if we're up against it mentally right now. Thinking about what you're grateful for will flip a switch in your mind, and your day is going to be off to a great start. So I could stop there because I've fulfilled my purpose, but I continue to go. I journal a little bit about what I read. So I start with, a verse that stood out, or a line from my reading that stood out. And then I go in underneath my gratitudes and I literally jot down, a summary of what I just read, just so I can retain a little bit better. After that, I simply take 5, 6, 7, or 8 lines and I journal. What does that look like? It's simply whatever's on my mind. There's no right or wrong. Is there something always on your mind? Absolutely. Journal about it. For me, a lot of times it comes down to work. And so I say, here's what I'm thinking about today. I'm hopeful that I can do X, Y, and Z. Here's the steps needed to do so. Or maybe I'm thinking about my family. I'm a little bit concerned about Samuel. He's not pronouncing his R's right. He's 5 years old. Should this be a concern? Perhaps I should look into this today. Journaling is simply getting what's in your mind onto the paper. And there's freedom in that. I promise you. You'll be shocked at the relief that you'll feel once you get those thoughts out and onto paper. That's how I go about it. Now, I parlay my morning routine into a few next steps. Above and beyond journaling, the journaling's done by now. It's 5:50 or 6 o'clock. I then like to go into a morning routine of physical activity. I like to take jogs. If jogging is not your thing, do some push-ups, do some sit-ups. Being active, though, will release endorphins, allowing you to have more energy for the day, and it'll wake you up. If you're not a morning person, I promise you this morning routine of mine has allowed me to have more energy throughout the day. Now, if you're not a morning person, no worries. If you're a night person, feel free to do this before going to bed. I can't think of a better moment to think about and talk about what I'm grateful for than right before my head hits the pillow. You're going to bed on a high note at that point, and likely your dreams are going to be a little bit better than the nightmares you could have had by not thinking of the positive things. So again, on journaling, there's no right or wrong time of day to do it. There's no right or wrong method for keeping your journal, and there's no right or wrong system in place. My big challenge to you, though, is to incorporate maybe just one thing of what I just said. Maybe you don't even want to journal, but you want to start waking up earlier to grab the bull by the horns for the day. Maybe you don't want to wake up earlier, but you want to start getting your thoughts down on paper. If you take nothing else away from this conversation, take this. Focus on what you're grateful for, list them out, and you'll be shocked at how positive your day will go. Thank y'all. Hope this is beneficial. I want to encourage y'all to journal. If you have questions, reach out to me. I'm an open book. I'll talk about anything. I do a couple extra things after the physical activity to really get my day kickstarted. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out. But I hope this is beneficial for you. Think of journaling as a great way of getting out of your own head and becoming positive as you attack your day.